Dominic Villa, owner of the Villa Group at Summit Funding, and today I am here with the infamous Farrah Wilder, one of the most respected and one of the greatest seasoned agents in our area in Oakland, here at her office in Montclair at Compass. Farrah, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So what we're really focusing on are the things that set you apart, make you special, and the things you really excel at compared to the average agent. And so I feel like you have the average agent here, and then we have you coming in quite a bit higher than that. And that's kind of across the board with all facets, but there's one in particular that you are really well known for from everyone in our market, and one that I think is one that gets a lot of underappreciation or undervalued with most agents who are out there chasing deals. And I think that really comes down to client education and protection. And so give me your take on what makes you special and what you do that's different in regards to educating your clients.
So I think this market moves really fast. I mean, it's confusing, it's fast. It's just like our weather. We have micro markets, you're in one market and things are priced around where they're going to land, and then another market where things are priced 30% lower than where they're going to land. So and it is really up to the buyer to ultimately make the decision. So in order to do that really fast, in line with the pace of this market, I think it's really important to do some upfront work, because I think it's really hard for people to, without some information, be making these decisions. So I like to meet with people up front, and I have a packet of information. If they meet with me in person, we can go over it on paper. I have it electronic. We also look at the market for what they're looking for. So I ask some questions up front, and then I'm prepared. And so I think it really helps people make decisions. They understand what sewer lateral means. They understand, I really try to make sure they know what their closing costs are going to be, monthly payment. That is critical, because someone could be pre-approved for something, and then maybe they don't really realize what that monthly payment's going to be, and they might not want to actually pay that particular price. So I think it's important on all different levels: price, what closing costs are, some of the different aspects of the transaction, how our properties are, the level of condition they can expect, and then how is the transaction going to go, and then what are contingencies. I think it's really important to make sure people really have they're going to have some general understanding. We'll learn as we go, but that they can have a first meeting where we can talk about this without a property in mind, without falling in love with something, and then we kind of go through and look at properties and continue that education process. Because at the end of the day, I think that they feel like more empowered, that they've been able to use this information and make informed decisions, rather than just say, Farrah, what do you think? Because I can't really tell them what to do. So I think it's helpful. And then, of course, they can move fast once they have kind of a grasp of this stuff up front.
Okay. And now kind of looking at it from the other end, why do you think it's important? Like, what could potentially go wrong if they're not armed with the proper information up front?
Oh, wow. Well,
so there's a lot that can go wrong.
Yeah.
But if we were to say, like, hey, why is it so important, the potential repercussions, not only as an agent, but as a buyer or seller, what have you seen out there?
Well, I think that a lot of this has to do with feeling okay with what you did, because there are some compromises in our market. Our prices are maybe a little higher than what people would ultimately want to spend, and so maybe people would have come to the same decision without as much upfront information, but at least people feel good about doing it. And then other times it might have been a matter of understanding kind of the distinction between different neighborhoods, different kinds of properties, what it means to have a particular term or aspect on a transaction that they might have completely avoided. And it's not up to me. I might see $10,000 pest bids all the time, but but not everyone may be comfortable with it. I may see foundations that need retrofitting all the time, and that may, because I see it all the time, may be something that doesn't bother me, but that person may not feel okay with it. And also, we don't know when the next earthquake is going to be, and we don't know if it's going to be right underneath that person's house. So I like to make sure that people feel like they've made the decision, they understand what they're doing, and that at the end of the day, that even if they had to make that compromise, that they feel okay with having done that because they understood the whole entire lay of the land when they made that decision, or they said, you know what, I think foundations that need some retrofit, for me personally, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm going to actually look at newer construction, or I'm going to look at homes that are on a flat lot, or homes that just have had a certain level of retrofit. That's where my comfort level is. So I like for it to be that person's decision, but without information, they can't really make those decisions.
Right. And so it sounds like you do a fantastic job of really educating, but also setting expectations up front, which is really important. And how you found that has overall enriched or added to your client's overall experience?
Well, I think that people ultimately, at the end of the day, feel taken care of. I mean, at least I think so.
Even though you scare them a little bit at the beginning of the day.
Well, I think without a property in front of, it's less intimidating when we talk about these things in theory, so we're talking about it, we're kind of determining what people's comfort levels are about certain things, we talk about price point, monthly payments, things like that. And so people can really feel empowered, and when they see it, it's not the first time they're seeing it, and it's not on a house that they're in love with. But I feel like I get people who send me to their friends, there's trust, and I tell people, you should trust your realtor. If you don't trust me, find someone you trust, because we're not always going to give you information that you want to hear. This market it's hard, or sometimes I'm going to say, well, okay, on this property, there's 30 disclosure requests out already, and so there's going to be multiple offers, maybe at least 10, and so that's going to look like, you're going to see some, your competition, and I don't know if you will, but your competition is going to make some very compelling offers. So what does that mean, and how are you going to be able to fit into that? And so because people maybe trust me, they know that I'm not coming at it from a place where I'm just trying to do this really quickly. I'm just trying to get them to offer something higher than they really feel comfortable with, just to kind of go through the process really quickly, that they know that I'm saying this so that they can be educated when they do decide what to do. And so I think that results in them sending their friends, and also feeling, most importantly, feeling really good about the outcome.
Okay, and so you kind of do something that maybe a lot of agents don't do, in the sense that you're not there to be a yes person or tell them what they want to hear. A lot of it comes down to telling them what they need to hear. And like I said, how has that initial reaction been for the most part? Are clients appreciative of it, or are they a little hesitant at first?
I've tried to remember to, but it's been a while, because I realize this has come out of my initial buyer meeting. I try to tell people that I will not beat around the bush, and I'll tell them the truth as I see it, or my opinion about things, and then they can do what they will with that information. I think everybody's different, and so for me, it's kind of an energy thing, and I know I'm going to get all, but I work with people who like that style. I work with people who want to work with me, and so I feel like we're in alignment in that way. And I will literally say, you don't have to make this offer on this house if you're not comfortable. I do my best to really it's not really about me. And so I hope people feel really empowered by this information. I might say, okay, look, so there's this on this property, and it may be something that you don't like, and there's going to be other houses, and this may or may not be the one. If you're comfortable with it, let's go for it. But I will support you in not making this offer, and then if we find out something in the process, or something's going weird in the process, I support them in canceling that contract and going on to the next one. So I hope that people feel good about that, even if they don't end up buying with me.
Okay. Now, this, like I said, gives ultimately setting expectations and giving them all the pros and cons before they make an offer makes a huge impact on how the transaction or purchase goes for them. but how would you say this helps you? Does it make it easier on you as an agent by setting all those expectations up front so you're not scrambling around once you're in escrow?
That's hard for me to answer because the things that I do because I think ultimately I'm in a service profession and I do it for the purpose of making sure that the buyer has as good of an experience as possible. But so in doing that, I would do that up front. I would do it during. I think it's easier to do it up front for everybody because in the process, and actually sometimes I like when people have done a little research, and if that research is relevant to our area, like they've been looking at where things are selling for in the neighborhoods that they're interested in, just being informed ahead of time is just super helpful because, I'm not saying things that are like completely shocking or, something where they had no idea it was going to be like that. Now, there's certain things that you may not be able to find out until you're in it. You may have a friend who's bought a house, but it might have been a completely different kind of situation. But still, I think that the upfront information, wherever it comes from, is super helpful. I wish there was a book, or I could write a book. I don't have time to write a book, but
and also a year or 2 years from now, everything will change.
Everything changes within a couple of weeks, actually. So, but I think and also I'm learning. So when I pull data for a client, and they're interested in a particular neighborhood, a particular house size, whatever. So what we do is we look at that market, and even though I might have sold a house in that market 6 months before, it might be different. The prices, I may go, oh my gosh, okay, the prices there are wherever, at this point, so that's going to be challenging if you're not at that price point. But what I might find is that actually, yes, there are some things selling at that price point. And so I don't like to make assumptions. And I think it's a good learning experience for all of us to go through this.